Here we are, another episode, this time with Mariana Lacombe with quantum evolution. And this episode is about a consultant, a strategist, an international phenomenon woman who is amazing. And we're going to learn her story. But we really want to dive into some myths, debunk some of those within coaching, as well as some of my own personal questions, as well as what can you do today to get started. So without further ado, Mariana, why don't you tell us your story?
Yes, thank you so much, Toy. It's really great to be here. I absolutely love how you see money and wealth, and that's pretty much my approach to things. so, my story. I come originally from Brazil, raised by a very humble family, actually. So my childhood was very humble, and I've seen my family grow from nothing. And my both my parents decided to become different types of entrepreneurs. My father is more traditional, and my mother is the visionary that takes massive risks. So I grew up in that space where my parents had multiple jobs. They were also entrepreneurs. I started working when I was 15. So I started very early. And I've always had lots of things happening simultaneously. And the interesting thing in my life is that numbers to me were always very easy. I would be the A+ student, and math wasn't my problem at all. So when I was choosing my degree, I decided to study psychology, and my mother almost had a heart attack because she thought I would become like a CFO or
Right.
something like that, right? Because numbers were easy. But to me, the hardest thing to truly understand and master has always been the human mind. And I really wanted to dive deep there very early because I started to have very interesting experiences with my own dreams. I would dream with Greek mythology when I had no idea what those things were. Like, where is this coming from? So I had this deep curiosity for the human mind, and that's how I got started. So I was always in business, and I was always studying the human mind or human beings in general, and why we do things and why we don't do certain things, and what makes people successful, what doesn't make people successful. And that's how I did it. So then I grew very rapidly in the corporate world. I became a director of human resources of a technology company when I was 15, when I was 25, like 10 years later. So I grew super fast, always with my businesses on the side until I decided to shift gears and switch the side of the table I was sitting on. I was always the one hiring, and now I want to be with people, helping them truly achieve amazing results. So that's the background of my story. That's how I got started.
That's amazing. And we talk about kind of your money mindset, right? And alluding to that, but also usually for all of us, our financial either prosperity or failures come from your childhood, right?
Mm.
It either comes from childhood trauma or you were taught something, but it really does come from your childhood, which is, where most parents go wrong, is we don't recognize that issue. So you were able to have two parents that are entrepreneurs, one more of a visionary high mindset, the other more of a hard worker. And so you got the best of both worlds when it comes to being a business owner. How, when you first did that and had that mindset at 15 and started working, how did you go from entrepreneur mindset and having those to going into the corporate world? Because that seems like a backwards way of doing things.
Yes, that is so true. Well, then I'm going to share a bit of my philosophy about how we show up. I
Yes.
believe that entrepreneurship is so much more a set of values and beliefs than the role that you choose for yourself. So I always saw myself as an entrepreneur, even as a leader, even as a C-level executive. And I taught my direct reports to be entrepreneurs, meaning I wanted them to think in terms of solving problems, adding value to people, never having a ceiling that would limit their growth. I always wanted them to think beyond their job description. And that to me is an entrepreneurial mindset. So I've always seen myself being an entrepreneur in any aspect of business and life. I even remember um, my first job, they wanted to pay me, and I'm like, no, 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 I don't want to get paid. I'm here to learn. I should be paying you guys to get this job. And they were like so confused. So
Yeah.
what is this girl talking about? But it is the entrepreneurial mindset. So when I was working corporate, I had that mindset. I took full ownership for my positions. So often I would bring in, let's say, profit savings that were not even part of my scope, or I would bring in new revenue ideas to help the business grow, or I would bring in ideas to acquire, merge with other companies. So I was always that person. Sorry. So I think that there is a big opportunity for people, even in corporates, to tap into this entrepreneurial mindset or way of being so that they can even grow in their careers. You don't have to be a business owner to be an entrepreneur, you know?
I absolutely love that and agree, as many percentages as possible, usually 100. Because even if you are W-2 and you work for someone, if you have that mindset, you are helping the greater good, right?
Yeah.
Yes, there are risks of being a business owner. And I say this every podcast, being a business owner sucks. Like there's a lot that goes into it. But being a W-2 person, even if you have that entrepreneurial mindset, you are helping so much more. Now, I will say there's a caveat to that. Don't get taken advantage of. So how did you go through the corporate world, bringing all the profitability, bringing all these great ideas, being the entrepreneur inside of a corporate setting? How did you go about doing that without feeling like you're getting taken advantage of from a salary, benefits, position perspective?
That is a really great point because I see a lot of people feeling very resentful for what they do for other people. Like, I hear this a lot. I'm working so hard to make money for other people. I'm not making money for myself, right? That is the resentment. For me, we feel this way when there is a lack of balance between giving and receiving. That is the formula to resentment to me. And so sometimes, and this actually just happened with me recently because I was working with another company that was very fulfilling to me. And that wasn't necessarily directly paid with dividends or with a salary, but I felt really good. What does that mean? I was giving a lot, but I was also receiving a lot. I was receiving a lot of opportunities to grow, a massive opportunity to impact people globally. I was receiving my part, not necessarily in the monetary aspect of things, but I was receiving a lot. So we always have to find that balance, I believe. So like if you're not receiving that balance in the form of money, immediate money, present money, is it going to be paying off in the future? Are you going to be receiving dividends in the future? And people quit their jobs when they see that there is no way around that giving and receiving balance. They're giving so much more than the company is capable of giving back. So that is a big problem. And that's one of the reasons why when I was a director of this company, I created a sustainability program that actually allowed people to give and receive in different forms. So I had a lot of philanthropy projects in place because people would have other ways of receiving appreciation and love and and even different ways of giving back. So ultimately, for whoever is listening to this, and if you're thinking about even becoming a business owner, I think the formula is pretty much the same. What I do with my business with Quantum Evolution is pretty much to reverse that formula because business owners, they tend to give so much to the business, so much, but they don't receive back. So, they work for the business. Like the same thing when you're working in corporate, you're working for corporate. What are you getting out of it? And what I do, I flip that relationship. So now I teach my clients to get the business to work for them. So then now they get to be the ones that receive, right?
Yeah.
So that actually, like the lack of balance between giving and receiving was basically the reason why I quit.
Yeah.
Because I was giving so much that I couldn't see a way out in
And
corporate,
and that's
basically.
so important that you say balance of giving and receiving because it's more of the emotional feels. It's not usually dollars. I think corporate, specifically a lot of CEOs get this entirely wrong because most of them are narcissistic, in my opinion. They care more about
Agree.
money and all of those things and how the stock's doing and the return on investments and all those things. But like the employees and the normal people care about how are they being treated? Are they able to be happy and live a life they want to live under, whatever structure it is? And that's feelings. That's not money. That's feelings and emotions. And that really is why we're on the Money Mindset series today, but also in general of why my firm Black Mammoth and we have no BS Wealth is we need to get across to everyone that in this world, humanity and us caring for each other is the only thing that we need, right? Now, is money important? Yes, because our society is integrated with it at this point, but it is important for us to understand that the emotions and feelings are tied to all of these decisions. And you can't rely on because it's money. You can't rely on because it's that. And so I love the balance of give and take with that. So you brought it up. It was a really good, little smooth transition into your business with quantum evolution. First of all, badass name. Okay, I just love it.
Thank you.
The second part is talk us through how and why you named it quantum evolution, because that's something we need to highlight.
Yes, thank you. The name was definitely an inspiration in many ways, and I do believe that it translates very much so how I see the world and what I help people do. I do believe in energy, and I do believe that everything is energy, including money, and money needs to flow, money needs to move. So for me, when I talk about evolving, that is what people really want. People want to grow. People want to evolve. People want to feel like they're growing so that they can give back. This is the cycle. This is the most fulfilling cycle in life. We want to grow, and the more we grow, the more we can contribute and give back. And we keep receiving. So it's almost like this infinite loop of great feelings, as you said, right? Feeling really great about life and feeling meaningful, feeling important, and feeling impactful. I heard someone say, like a person that I follow, she's an investor. She said that if you really want to make a change in the world, becoming a millionaire is taking a moral stand for that cause. And it really hit my heart, deep here in my soul, because it is so true. I believe that we, all good people, great human beings, must be very wealthy. Because if we are wealthy, we can make so many wonderful things in the world. So I fight for that cause. That's how the name of my company came up, because I do believe in this expensive, prosperous, abundant energy that we can all tap into, and how we can evolve together to become even better human beings so that more people can be impacted by our work. And that is my cause, right? So that's why my name is quantum evolution.
Well, that's amazing. Well done on that one. Thought through.
Thank
Love
you.
it. Love it. All right. So obviously we've got through the name. We went through your background. Now let's get into your services and what you provide. I don't want to just, gloss over it and call it coaching. I want you to really hone in and let people know what the services are. Because I think it makes more sense and we'll get to it of why I say I don't want to just label it coaching, but get into your services, what they're about, what you're about, and how you actually help individuals or business owners. Sorry.
Yeah, sure. So in my world, I've been doing this for a long time. And I'm a strategist. I'm going to put it this way, right? So I can see many moving pieces all put together and organize them and line them up and create a plan and execute that plan. So I have that ability to do those things. So why am I saying that to you? Because I know that the life of a business owner is not simple and it's not simplistic. It's highly complex. If we just get the mindset piece, or the way your mind is set for an entrepreneur, look at like my story and how complex it is. We are all that way, right? Every time I listen to stories, I heard some of the stories of your guests. It's like this web of
Yeah.
information and events and stories and goals and future. So what I do with my clients is to provide frameworks to help them organize their minds and their lives and their business in a way that's highly optimized. So one of my mantras in my business that we do to do less, to do more, we do less. So I'm all about really optimizing things. And I know also that the bigger your business is, the more complex this web will be. So there are two different ways that I work with my clients. For clients who are in the 7-digit worlds, I know that they have a team. They need a team actually to be in that space. They have systems, they have partners. The complexity is much higher and their money container is much bigger too. So they need more money support, even in terms of mindset. So in this case, I work with my clients individually, and my clients named me their ghost CEO. So I become almost like as if I'm a second CEO in their companies, where now I am the personal advisor of the owner or the CEO, where I help them weekly and they have access to me at any time, because I know that problems happen like in a heartbeat for people in this place, who are actually in this phase of their lives and their business. So I want to make sure they can have access to me right away. So it's very, how can I say, tailor-made for their needs. So I work with them individually as their personal business advisor, right? And then I also have a mastermind. And I did that because I'm a strategist. So there are many things that are very, how can I say, predictable, because we are all beings of pattern as well. We do have those patterns. So my mastermind allows more people with different types of businesses, even startups, to come in and learn this methodology where you do less, earning more from the business. So my 101 program is called Freedom Alchemy, and my mastermind is called the CEO Advisory. So those are the two ways that I help people right away.
I am so happy you brought up that they need a team. Like they have to have a team.
Yes.
I talk about it all the time with business owners and on obviously all my shows is to be successful, you have to have a team. The most successful business owners, wealthiest people in the world have a team. That team can be made up of many different people, parts in your business, on your business, outside your business. But if you do not have one and you're trying to go this alone, you'll drop a ball somewhere. Something will fail, something will happen. And that's usually, in my opinion, why most businesses fail is because they don't have that team. They don't have a strategist. They don't have, my services personal CFO, which aligns a lot with what you do, which we'll discuss off air.
Yeah.
But it allows them to work in whatever role they are and allows that team to do everything else. And if you don't do that, businesses fail. So I'm so happy you brought that up.
Yeah.
Now, and I want everyone to recognize how we talked about strategists and using that term as opposed to coaching. I, for one, former athlete, understand coaching. I understand how coaching is in my industry, how coaching is in a marketing tool for a lot of people out there. I have TikTok, I have Instagram. I've seen it all, right? We see it out there. Can you talk to me about this, I guess, we're in social media land right now where everyone seems to be a coach, right? A financial coach, a mental coach, a business coach, name it, right? They're out there and they spew a lot of courses, they spew a lot of books, they generically just talk about things, and why that is so much different than having a strategist on their team as opposed to just like one of those coaches that we hear about nonstop on social media.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for bringing this up as well, because that is such a huge distinction that people really don't understand the difference, because everybody now get to be a coach. So, and by the way, I was a coach for many years, for a decade, like owning this role. So what is the role of the coach? It is to help you personally come up with your own solutions. It is to help you come up with your breakthroughs, your insights based on questions, based on specific exercises, frameworks. There's a whole methodology to it. which is fantastic. I think that many times there is a big space, even as a strategist, to be the coach, where it is not the best thing to do to give exactly what your client needs to do, to give the framework, to give the strategy, to provide that. The client many times needs to come up with a solution alone, because there's this thing called the human mind, right? And the human condition. And many people, they don't like actually to be told what to do. They'd rather discover or have the feeling
Yeah.
that they are discovering by themselves what is the best way for them. That is proven to be very effective. So the coach has methodologies to lead the client to certain breakthroughs, insights, so that the client can then take action, because it feels like they had that breakthrough alone, right? So that, to me, that's the distinction of a coach. And the coach is very focused on what's happening now based on what you want in the future. So this is the framework. What you want now based on what you want in the future. And the client comes up with a game plan with the help of the coach. The strategist is very different. The strategist is someone that was in the fields. The strategist is someone that walks the walk entirely, that knows the secret, hidden things that nobody knows about, knows all the blind spots, and knows exactly how to solve the problem, and can give that solution right away with a game plan, with accountability, with processes in place. That to me is the strategist. So I've owned that identity as well, because yes, I walked the walk. Excuse me. And I've done a lot of things. So many times it is so much better to give exactly what the client needs based on not only your experience, but based on the market, based on what's happening in the world, based on, other people's experiences. So there is a space for a strategist or an advisor in addition to the coaching space. And in the coaching space, there are many people that will be coaches of, like say a relationship coach or a business coach even, that haven't necessarily figured stuff out. Because a lot of people, and I've worked with hundreds of coaches, by the way. So one of my main ideal clients are actually coaches. I help them grow their business. They are choosing to work with people with similar stories, like as if their clients are mirror reflections of themselves. And many times they haven't figured that out yet. So they're figuring it out, and they're like, I want to help people figure that out too. So they get stuck in that sensation of being like how can I say, like an imposter in the process. That's the biggest thing with coaches when I'm working with them. They're afraid of being an imposter because they haven't figured stuff out, which is different than the strategist. The strategist has walked the walk. And you as a strategist, I'm pretty sure you walked your walk. So,
Yeah.
right?
And
That to
and
me is the biggest thing.
yeah, and obviously you're right on that. And I think another big point of that is when you've walked the walk or have walked it with a client, whatever, the situation, where we need to turn, is you can tell the client, no, we're not doing that. You cannot do that.
Exactly.
Coaches, I feel like again, I'm not speaking for everyone and I'll generalize it because that's what I'm going to do. But I believe coaches are more of yes men and women. Yes, you can do it. You just have to have the right mindset. We can do this. We can get through this. Yes, yes, yes. As opposed to, there's a lot of times in business that it just a straight up no, not yet, not now, not ever. This does not need to be done, right? And I believe that is more powerful and valuable than having someone always behind you, propping you up. And with my clients and the ones that I attract are the ones that are looking for those people to be, I need you to tell me no when I'm going too fast, too far, or doing the wrong thing. I don't need you to prop me up and say yes. Like, I know that'll come, but I need you to hone me in and rein me in and allow me to do the right things at the right time. And that is way more powerful. And for me, that's where the distinction between strategist and coaching comes into play. And I just don't think that you need as much of yes people in your world. I think our society has enough of that. I feel like that's all we see is all of that. And positivity is great, don't get me wrong. But all we see is those successful outcomes when there's more failures. and more things to learn from on that side that we don't discuss, right? We don't talk about those. We don't talk about if you have a bad partnership and the only way to get out is to spend $100,000 in attorney's fees and take on debt. We don't talk about if you pick the wrong product or the wrong timing, that it costs you X amount in marketing and can set you back 2 years. We don't talk about those things. And those are the things that, as a strategist, we've been through those. So we can say, guess what? We're not going to go down that route. We've been there. No, let's do it this way, right? That is why we have this podcast. That's why I have you on here. I want those discussions, not the, hey, I made 7 figures this year for the first time. Cool, but like how? And what decisions did you not make? And we're told not to make that actually led to those.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. I had an interesting situation like a month ago or so. You were talking about hiring teams. And this was something I've done my whole life as well. I've hired thousands of people, as the director of human resources. So I'm working with these clients and they do want to hire a team. I'm like, okay, great. Let's now figure out who do you really, really need to hire? For what reasons? What is the purpose of the hiring? What do you want to gain out of this team? I want to make sure that the team is not only an expense, they have to be profit generators, right? We're having this conversation. And then they're like, okay, great. We're gonna come up with a job description. So in the next conversation that I have with them, they actually come up with me saying that they hired 2 people. Like, oh, interesting. Who did you hire? Oh, my friend who really needed a job.
Oh,
and
boy.
This guy that's been asking for a job for a long time. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, here's my opinion about this. You shouldn't hire these people. You should not do this. This is why. And then I gave them all the reasons. Now, at the end of the day, it's their decision to do what they want to do. Mm-hmm. And I don't necessarily like to be right. I tell them that. Like, sometimes you can prove me wrong, but I'm usually right. So you shouldn't hire these people. Well, fast forward 2 months. Here's what's happening. They're spending so much time training a team that's not the team that they should be hiring instead, and they are learning a lesson. That is a lesson also that the strategist can teach, because you're telling them to do something and they can go against that, and that's up to them. But there is a big lesson, and the biggest lesson is that nobody's going to replace their time, the time that they wasted with a strategy that wasn't aligned necessarily with their goals. So they're listening to me now more than ever. Yep. And I love the fact that you get to have that freedom as well as a strategist to be able to tell clients what is the best way, and then ultimately discuss what is the best path for that specific client. So yes, coaching is not necessarily going to give you that outcome. If you are a business owner listening to this and you want to work with Stoy, like Stoy are going to tell you the truth, I'm pretty sure, not wanting you to figure that out and waste all of your time and your precious energy and money with trial and error situations. You're going to give them the path. So that's very valuable.
It is, and it's very valuable if you're looking for one and you're, interviewing and searching for a strategist. Can't talk. Make sure that you can, one, relate to them and trust them, but that they can be blunt and transparent with you, right? That is, I believe, one of the biggest characteristics that we have to have. We have to be able to, like in your situation, yeah, it might be funny and jokeable, but I'm going to say, I told you so, right?
Oh, yes. I'm going to
flat out and say, see, I told you so. So next time, right? And you have to have those conversations. And what people don't understand is the more wealthy and successful people have those blunt, direct conversations. They don't beat around the bush. And the reason they don't beat around the bush is there's no time to. Because time, if you waste it, is where, like you said, that's our value, that's our resource, is time. We're trying to be as efficient as possible. And us beating around the bush for a half hour, trying to and ah our way around, like trying to say, I told you so, is not worth it, right? You went against what we said. It didn't work. Told you so. Let's move on, right? And I believe that builds even more trust. So if you're looking to hire one of us or someone like us, and there's differences between all of us as well, just factor that into it, all of it as well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So we get through strategy. Someone's working with you. Why would they want to? I know we've alluded to it a little bit, but why would they want to go hire strategists? And more importantly, when should they go hire someone for strategy?
Yes. So when you are when you decide that now is really the right time to get work done, because a strategist will get you to work. A strategist will come up with a plan, and you're going to be held accountable for that plan. And one of the main questions I ask my clients, or whenever before they become my clients, is when now is going to be the best time for you to get started. When now is going to be the best time for you to get started? Because it has to be at some point. So if you believe that you're wasting your time and your energy and your money trying to figure stuff out by yourself, and if you imagine that you had taken action a year ago, you would be in a completely different spot today, then you have to reach out to someone and get help right now, because you're now regretting your decisions. You wish you had made that decision a year ago. You must make this decision right away. I think that's the biggest thing. Some people are actually comfortable with what they have, which drives me nuts. But if that is true, right? If you're comfortable where you're at, so don't hire a strategist, because the strategist will get you to work. But that is not true for entrepreneurs. Usually entrepreneurs always want to evolve and grow. So I would say that is the key question, right? If you were regretting a decision that you could have made in the past, you got to make it right now. And how to trust this person? Just look at who this person really is. And I would say what their values as well, right? What are the values? Like I saw your stuff story. I'm like, great. We are very much aligned in terms of values and what we believe in. The name of your podcast is absolutely genius as well. It tells a lot about your values and what you believe in. And look for these people with a story of success, and not only helping other people, but their personal success. And we know how they look for their upbringings, how they were raised, how they came up in the world, how they grew, how they actually achieved what they are, because that also tells you what they're capable of doing for you and with you. So for me, now is always the right time. Imagine if we were waiting for the stars to align to be able to make a decision that we really need to make. That's never going to happen. Never going to happen. And one thing we can never get back is time. So time is the only thing that we can't get back. You can recover, you can get your money back, you can get your energy back, you can get your house, your car, your belongings back, but time you cannot. So if you believe you're wasting your time, raise your hand. That's it.
Absolutely. And just take that next step.
Yeah.
Right. And I tell everyone, like, I work with female and minority business owners who are ready to take that next step. And that's exactly what you're saying. Is it's when you feel like you're ready, you're probably way past the time that you should have already done it. But at least mentally, you're like, okay, I have to. I'm wasting too much time and energy. And I want everyone to recognize, though, that it will cost money. Let's be real. It's going to cost money. Everything does. But that time is what you need to recognize of how much it's going to save you. It's going to be a lot of work. I'm not going to be wrong. Like, it's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to free up your time eventually. And that is where the value really comes from. And everyone always asks me, like, how much money should I spend on a strategist or, hiring you or marketing, etc. And I always say that your marketing budget, which entertains social media and advertising and all of that, should be probably 20% of your overall budget.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the reason for that is because there's a lot of moving parts to it, but you need to go into it building that out to help you understand what it's going to cost and take. And guess what? All of that marketing strategy, me, it's for the journey. It's not, getting rich tomorrow. It's building in this process over a long period of time. And guess what? It never goes away. You can't just stop doing it. It's not where I can put a band-aid on it and it heals up and we're good. No, 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 no. You have to always be working on it and moving forward and adapting. And so that's why I always say that, 20%. A lot of people always say it should be less. I beg to differ. Look at the number. With that, what are one or two things you want to leave all the listeners with? We gave them a lot of great nuggets as well, but what is like one or two things that they could immediately work on without hiring one of us right now, today, to hopefully change that curve and allow them to take that step to hire someone like that?
Yes. Wow. Oh my goodness. Two. I think of a few, but the number one thing that comes to mind as you're talking about how much money they should be investing or they should invest in someone or a strategist to get support is that they, number one, they actually acknowledge what is the goal that they want, what is the vision that they have. So let's say they're making now $500,000 per year, but they want to be making $5 million actually per year. The equivalent money that you're going to be investing in yourself is not about the 500 that you're making right now. It's about the 5 million you actually want to make in the future. So many times people make financial decisions based on their reality or their current financial situation, and they don't make decisions based on what is required of them to get the outcome that they want in the future instead. Right? So sometimes that decision can feel a little uncomfortable or too bold. Like you said, like investing 20% in marketing is the minimum.
Yeah.
Non-negotiable.
Right.
Why? Because there's a big goal to be achieved. If you were okay with your status quo right now, you wouldn't need to invest 20% in marketing, but that's not what they want. So I would say that whatever financial decision they need to make, it needs to be something, of course, considering the current situation, but most importantly, what is required of them to get the final outcome that they want. If you're only comfortable with spending $1,000, let's say right now, and you're making 500, maybe you're going to have to spend 10 times more than that, or maybe 100 times more than that to be able to get the 5 million. So let's say even if you spent $100,000, but you're making 5 million, that makes a lot of sense, right? So that's how I feel about this. I think that people need to be more vision oriented whenever they're making decisions in the now. Otherwise, they're going to stay in the same place. That would be my number one thing. And the second thing is truly to understand that now is always the best time. Always the best time. One of my main beliefs about money is that every person that has a decision to work with me or to work with a strategist, to work with you, Stoy, is that they have money to be able to invest or they have access to money. So many people, they don't make a decision to invest in themselves because they have a belief that they don't have money. They may not have money, but you can have access to it. So if right now, if you believe that you don't have money, that is exactly the reason why you need to work with a financial strategist that will show you how you can have the money or how you can have access to the money so that you can reach that vision that you're looking for. All right, so that is why like the strategist is always necessary, because it's, this person will help you have access to the money you want so that you can make the money that you want, or just make the money that you want. So I would say that these two things are the things that will help you take that quantum leap, to have the courage to do something new, to do something different than what you've been doing so far. And I would say those are my two go-to tips for you guys.
Well, it's time to do something different. All right. And you've heard it here from Mariana Lacombe with Quantum Evolution on the No BS Wealth Podcast Money Mindset series, by the way. New websites out, so go to nobswealthpodcast.com. We're trying to get nobswealth.com, but negotiations. So appreciate your time. I look forward to blasting this, and I know we're going to have a lot of conversations popping up from it. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Doy. It was
The
awesome.
preceding program was sponsored by Black Mammoth. Any awards, rankings, or recognition by unaffiliated third parties or publications are in no way indicative of the advisor's future performance or any individual client's investment success. No award, ranking, or recognition should be construed as a current or past endorsement of Black Mammoth. Information regarding specific awards, rankings, or recognitions is available on the Black Mammoth website, www.blackmammoth.com. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. Investment strategies such as asset allocation, diversification, or rebalancing do not assure or guarantee better performance and cannot eliminate the risk of investment losses. There are no guarantees that a portfolio employing these or any other strategy will outperform a portfolio that does not engage in such strategies. This broadcast should not be construed by any client or prospective client as a solicitation to effect or attempt to effect transactions and securities, or the rendering of personalized investment advice due to various factors including changing market conditions. The information discussed in this broadcast may no longer be reflective of current positions or recommendations. While information presented is believed to be factual and up-to-date, Black Mammoth do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. The tax and estate planning information discussed is general in nature and is provided for informational purposes only, and should not be construed as legal or tax advice. Listeners should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding their specific legal or tax situation. Past performance is not indicative of future results.